Good afternoon. This afternoon I'm going to speak to you about how large energy users can take their science-based targets that they've achieved through a carbon audit forward, with a particular focus on on-site renewable developments, specifically designed for operational needs, business growth and environmental longevity. This gives a great benefit to energy users in terms of greater control over their energy usage moving forward, as well as their carbon savings compared to other potential routes. So to give you a little bit of background to myself and Enspec. Enspec are an electrical engineering company focusing in power quality, grid code compliance and grid connection. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, any large energy generator, such as a wind farm, or any large energy consumer, such as a manufacturing plant or hospital, must at some point connect to the grid. Power is generally not generated in a usable form, and there are certain considerations, such as reactive power and harmonics, that make up power quality and must be considered. Likewise, if you were to look at large energy users, as they consume power from the network, they have an altering effect on power quality, which can lead to safety issues, equipment damage, and revenue loss. Now, Enspec offer a full suite of power system studies, not only to ensure grid code compliance, but also to assist with operational developments, efficiency, and reliability moving forward. We also engineer and manufacture solutions to common power quality problems, such as reactive compensation and harmonic filtration. I lead our engineering department and oversee our consultancy and manufacturing projects. So Enspec occupy a unique position within the energy space. Not only do we work with large-scale renewable developers, such as EDF Renewables, Scottish Power, Vestas, Nordex, Siemens Gamesa, but we also work with large energy consumers such as BOC, Cooper Tires, Aston Martin, and we have an expert knowledge on the regulations and considerations that both of these industries must abide by. We have a key understanding of the complications and pressures that immediately switch into a net zero operation places on these sorts of energy users. And this has led us to our new service offering, which we are terming Sustainability Facilitation, specifically operating within the energy space. Now, another factor that led us to this new service expansion was our own carbon audit and sustainability journey. We've been working on this actively and passionately for the past 10 months. At the start of this process, we partnered with, signed on to the SME Climate Hub pledge to operate at net zero by 2030. We were eager, we were optimistic, and it was the earliest date we could put. We naively believed that the changes needed could be acted upon quickly and were wholly possible. We began educating ourselves through sustainability courses by providers such as the Business Growth Hub, the University of Cambridge, and over this process, we have partnered with some incredible organisations and programmes, such as the Manchester Growth Hub, who helps us with our own carbon audit, and also the Low Carbon EcoI programme, where we work with a team of talented researchers that have been key with keeping us up to date with policy changes, as well as the capabilities in terms of carbon reduction through energy development. Now, through this process, we did come to realise a number of challenges from our side of things. Number one, we are a unique niche supplier, and so we rely on niche suppliers from all over the world. By far, our highest emission factor was freight shipping. This could be our suppliers sending us niche products, or it can be us shipping out custom solutions to clients in Europe, America, Australia, and beyond. Now, the hydrogen development in an area is moving rapidly, but experts still believe it will not be in a place to offer net zero shipping by 2030. So this does mean that we must apply a carbon offset or provide a negative carbon number. Number two, we work with wind farms, and they're often located in remote areas within the country, for example, the Scottish Highlands. The current EV technology just doesn't have the range for us to directly access these locations, nor is the charging infrastructure developed in these areas to support that. So we do unfortunately have to rely on diesel vehicles for this part of our operation. Moreover, the EV price point, commercially speaking, is so high at the minute that it doesn't make a feasible investment choice. And finally, it can feel like content overload when it comes to net zero and sustainability, with many people operating off of different definitions. When it comes to action in your own carbon audit with limited knowledge, it takes massive resource, and this is either in time or in money for expertise. And the bigger the company, the bigger the resource required. So just before we go a little bit deeper into this topic, we just wanted to outline some key understandings. So the first of these is the difference between a watt and a watt hour, or in our example here, a megawatt and a megawatt hour. So a watt or a megawatt is simply a unit of instantaneous power. So to give you an example, if you were to imagine a 200 kilowatt rooftop solar installation, and it was operating at 100% output, and you went along to measure that, you would see 200 kilowatts. If we wanted to then transfer that into 200 kilowatt hours, it would mean that that rooftop solar installation would need to be operating at 100% output for an entire hour. So to recap, the watt is an instantaneous measure of power. The watt hour is a measure of power delivered over a certain period of time. In this example here, an hour. The common unit we use to quantify energy consumed and generated is a kilowatt hour. Now, this is important because this sustainability service is aimed at large energy users using in excess of 600 megawatt hours per year. The reason for that is that the on-site renewable development required to provide the energy of this level is significant in terms of grid connection and grid code compliance, and that's where our expertise can really become a benefit. So when starting out with your own carbon reduction challenge, it can feel like you've lost before you've even begun. We're hearing from our partners that top-level companies are pushing on suppliers to have net zero strategies in place by a certain date, or they threaten to pull business. We're being told to set massive targets, even if they cannot be achieved, and really, how is that going to help in the face of this global climate crisis? Alternatively, our researchers at the EcoEye project are emphasizing the use of the term ultra-low emissions to further promote transparency, ongoing evaluation, and implementation of the most effective carbon reduction strategies moving forward. Now, this could mean you're operating at a net positive, moving towards a net zero, or even operating at a net negative. Energy, unlike some of the other evaluation criteria in a carbon audit, is actually an area where you can obtain a negative number. So this gives large energy users the opportunity to help out with this crisis in more ways than one. So what are the options available? You may have heard of a Renewable PPA. This is simply a long-term contract that helps to fund the development of a renewable project. You are then contracted to purchase energy from that renewable development for the length of your contract. This is the most common way that energy users can currently access green energy. It's a great option for most companies, but just like anything else, it does have some drawbacks. The first of those being, if you were to require energy in excess of the contracted amount, this has to just come from the network in a form that's readily available, which does make it difficult to align with net zero goals, operational needs, and company growth. Secondly, the cost of green energy tariffs is higher. So as a business, you're committing to pay a premium for a long period of time, which does serve to increase operational costs. Many large energy users may be familiar with on-site renewables, such as solar panels and wind turbines. These do represent an upfront cost, but they do give massive energy savings moving forward, among other benefits, which we are going to talk about. However, the key point to remember here is that they must be carefully designed in terms of operational needs, company growth, efficiency, and reliability. And once again, this is an area where we feel our experience can become a massive benefit. So just a final understanding within this before we move on, and that's electricity demand and transmission losses. So electricity demand is simply the demand for kilowatt-hour units in any period of time. And transmission losses, that's the energy that we lose when transporting power from point A to point B, mainly as heat. Now, as you can see in this example we've done with numbers, there was 330 terawatt hours of electricity demand in the UK last year, and we had a 26.31 terawatt hour transmission loss, bringing the total usage to 356.31. So as you can see, transmission losses are significant. This further emphasizes the advantage of on-site renewables because you are generating electricity directly where it's needed, and you're offsetting these transmission losses and using as much energy as is available, basically. So to recap, big industry faces a massive challenge in the face of this global climate crisis. There are key areas of business where it's just not feasible to operate at net zero, such as freight shipping, long-haul cargo drives. We have limited resources. There are simply not enough renewable projects to provide everybody with green energy. If you were to invest in a PPA, you're committing to pay a premium for your energy moving forward, which will increase your operational costs. Furthermore, you're still not 100% green because you have to consider the transmission losses in getting that power to your business. We're pushing companies into unknown territory. We're forcing them to make decisions quickly with limited options, and as a society, we just don't have time to wait. Policy and environmental consequence demands change now. So this brings us to the launch of our Sustainability Facilitation service. This allows big industry users to get a handle on their carbon emissions while reducing energy costs, while also mapping for business growth, while meeting and hitting those targets in ultra-low emissions. It begins with a full carbon audit, which would include a detailed energy audit. From there, we can make easy optimizations to give quick reductions in carbon. Along the way, you'll hopefully implement a carbon offset program. This is traditionally as far as companies would have gone in the process. We will then design and develop an on-site renewable and battery energy storage system that aligns with your operational needs, sustainability goals, while also allowing for business growth and investment payback. We will complete all of the necessary power quality and grid connection studies to ensure for a compliant, reliable, and efficient installation. We'll project manage the entire process, keeping you up to date with key milestones so you can see your energy system become fully operational. And we will then remain on as a knowledgeable partner and consultant should your business objectives or energy needs change. So your custom energy solution. It could be any one or a combination of the following technologies. We'll make a start with solar. Solar is a great option for businesses with large available roof space or large amounts of adjacent land that is suitable for solar development. This is simply because to get bigger outputs from solar, you need a lot of surface area. It's a relatively speaking low-cost option. However, there are some drawbacks. The output of solar panels is very dependent on panel position, time of the day, and weather. Moving over to wind, this is a great option for businesses with a really high energy demand. You can get a lot of power, a lot of energy out of a single turbine. It is, relatively speaking, a higher cost option, and there are more considerations in terms of planning and ongoing operations. Battery energy storage, it's not a standalone solution to this problem by any means. I see it more of an enhancement to either solar and wind to better align the available energy resources on your site with your business needs. Solar and wind are obviously very wind dependent. Your business isn't, so you want that energy when you need that energy, which is what battery energy storage can do. A CHP, or combined heat and power, that's a great option straight out the box for anyone that's got an inefficient heating system. But furthermore, there are now commercially viable and available CHP technologies that can run off natural gas but are ready to run off 100% hydrogen once that is commercially viable. So we see the benefits of this as being massive. You have no downtime in your energy system. Excess energy generated can be sold back to the network to create an extra revenue stream. And this also can give you a negative carbon number, which is massive as offset programs. The demand and the cost for these is going up, the availability is going down. So being able to provide that negative and that offset somewhere else is key. You can increase property and business value with a renewable development. Furthermore, if you were to look at a PPA, they often come with difficult and expensive exit clauses should your business circumstances change. You benefit from 100% green energy with minimal transmission losses. And it leads to a greater community well-being. If you were to think about large energy users, they would stand to consume more of the available renewable PPA and offset pie. And this would leave less available for those that are not in a position to do on-site renewable developments. And so by those that can do an on-site renewable developments, it means as a community, we can all move faster towards this ultra low emission society. And finally, we've touched on it a few times, but I just feel like it's important to mention again, energy is one of the only evaluation categories where you can obtain a negative carbon number. And obviously by doing that, you can even offset historical carbon usage, so it's a massive benefit. So thank you very much for your time. We are really excited about the launch of our sustainability service, as efficiency and sustainability is at the heart of all that we do. If you do have any questions, I encourage you to email my email address or give us a call if you want to chat through anything specific in the presentation. And also we invite you to follow us on our LinkedIn, where we regularly post industry insight, thought leadership, case studies, company news, and we will be updating you on our sustainability journey. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks ever so much, Tim. Thanks, obviously, once again for sponsoring today and making it possible. We feel really strongly that events like these, we want to be able to stream out free of charge and get in front of as many people as possible. And that's only the case because we have such generous supporters behind us. Also, mass congratulations on being able to take something that technical a way that actually makes sense. It's hugely valuable because I think we very often hear some of these conversations, but like, what does that mean to me as a business? What do some of these terms actually mean? So my kind of final question for you, I did promise him we weren't going to do Q&A, but you're obviously just going to get one from me. What are the problems that we're going to be talking about within businesses that mean they need to get in touch with you? Because I think sometimes we don't know when we need that support. So what are the kind of questions that will be being asked in the boardroom? What are the red flags that would probably mean they need to give you a call and see how you can help?
Right, yeah. So I think, I mean, the first step, you decide you want to do an on-site renewable development, and then you very quickly realize, what do I do next? So I think that's the key. It's what order are the steps that you have to take to action that, and that's where we're saying we're here. Reach out to us, because we know the process, we have the contacts, we know what we're doing in this sort of realm. So we can guide you with the steps that need to be done to put that into action and make it a reality.
Fantastic. So it's really getting in there right at the beginning and being like, we'd like to do this, we're not quite sure what next, to bring you in and go through that process. Fantastic. Thank you ever so much. We're now just